Okay, folks, we're back. I'm A. Scott Bolden, standing in for Roland Martin. It's that kind of thing you can't believe is still happening in 2017. News reports detailing modern-day slave markets in Libya, where African migrants and refugees are being bought and sold. This is a video of what appears to be West African migrants being sold at an auction in Libya. The refugees are from several African nations fleeing war and poverty, who were apparently victimized by smugglers as they attempted to make their way to Europe. Instead, they end up in lawless detention centers where they are allegedly sold to the highest bidder. My goodness. Several hundred protesters took to the streets in Paris earlier this month, demanding that the French and U.S. governments, along with the United Nations, take some action to stop this from happening. Celebrities, including Jill Scott and Common, have been tweeting about this situation. Common wrote, quote, "My heart breaks reading about what is going on in Libya right now. Please retweet to spread the news. We are not talking enough about this problem." But our guest today, defense attorney Yodit Tewolde, posted on Instagram that her family has dealt with this very issue firsthand. She says 4 of her family members were taken hostage in Libya and relatives had to pay their ransom. Yodit joins us via Skype from Dallas, Texas, with more. Yodit, welcome.
Thanks, Scott.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us to share this very personal story. I can tell that it is remains a deeply bothersome issue. Can you share with our audience exactly what happened with your family members and exactly whether the government or any government was able to help, or was this just something privately that you and other family members addressed?
Well, yeah, I had 4 family members, one of whom was 16, leave Eritrea. That's where I'm originally from, my family, and traveled from Eritrea because the conditions in Eritrea are very bad, which is primarily the reason why a lot of these African migrants are leaving their homelands, because of poverty or war,
Sure.
There's lack of freedom. So left Eritrea, went to Ethiopia on foot. From Ethiopia, went to Sudan. From Sudan, traveled through the Sahara Desert, and then went to Libya in hopes to, get to Europe by traveling through the Mediterranean. And so as soon as they got to Libya, they were kidnapped by a criminal gang, were robbed, were asked for money. The 16-year-old my 16-year-old cousin called us here in America and asked for $5,000 because that's what they were asking for ransom. Of course, we don't know if sending the money is actually going to help. We don't know if they are going to ask for more or take the money, sell them to someone else, because generally you're lucky to just be sold once. One person can be sold up to 4 times.
Yeah, but Yodit, if I may, your cousin that called, did he give you any context? Was your family aware that these family members were on this trek to get to Europe and to escape Eritrean?
Yes, we cautioned. They are cousins on my mother's side. My mother cautioned them and told them to stay where they were, to please stay in Eritrea and do not make this trip. And of course, they still made it, because this is what they believe, and for the most part, it's true, the only option they do have. Mm-hmm. They are looking for a better life, and this is the option that's best for them. So you can only imagine how bad it is in their respective homelands. So was kidnapped, again, asked for $5,000 ransom. We paid it. Apparently they, of course, beat my family members, broke one of my cousin's arms because the money wouldn't come fast enough. Luckily, they were released. 2 of them made it to Europe, and the other 2 they went back to Sudan. We don't know where they are in Sudan.
And how were they released, if I may? How were they released? How was the money sent, and how were your family members released, if you can answer those questions?
I believe the money was sent not directly to Libya. It was sent to Italy, and from Italy, because we had family members in Italy, and and our family members from Italy sent it on to Libya because we had no idea how to send it or who to send it to.
Or how to track it, if you will. right?
Exactly. I mean, that was our biggest concern. You know, we give all this money away, and can we ensure, and how can we ensure that they are going to actually be released? How they were released, I do not know. I know that my family members obviously got to Italy at one point first by traveling by boat. And as you know, a lot of people drown in the Mediterranean.
That's dangerous in and of itself.
Key thing here that I'm missing. We are hearing about this story now in the month of November in 2017. This happened 5 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So it wasn't recent.
So Yodit, when this all occurred, whether the beginning or the transfer of the money or once they were freed, were you in contact with the U.S. government or the Libyan government or the Eritrean government about the whereabouts of your family member, or was this all done on a very private basis?
On a very private basis, and my family is not the only ones that were victimized in this way. There are hundreds and hundreds of people, hundreds and thousands of people here in the U.S. that pay the ransom for family members in Libya, and it's all done privately.
Yeah, but Yodit, you're a very fine lawyer. I mean, I've known you for a number of years, and you're back and forth to Washington. Why not reach out to a congressman or a senator or the president or some government official for help, not only in whether it's to transfer the money or to fight this and find your family? Or is that just too idealistic for me and the listening audience to get our arms around?
This was something that wasn't shocking for us to hear because we've always heard that these types of things have happened and have had better results just paying the money.
Right.
And for me, my way of helping is to take on asylum cases from Eritrea and from various nations, countries in Africa, in order to have them come the legal route. But a lot of those, even the asylum programs, are empty at this point. They're bankrupt, and we don't have enough options, or they don't have enough options to get to where they need to be, you know, legally and take legal routes. And so it falls on deaf ears. You know, right now, what are the U.S. The U.S. is doing anything. This administration has yet to say a thing about what is going on in Libya. And mind you, let's not be naive. A lot of people higher up in the food chain knew exactly what was happening and did absolutely nothing. The only reason why people are taking meetings all of a sudden is because CNN reported this, and now it's gone international.
So were your family members, was the threat pay the $5,000 or they're going to be sold into slavery, or worse?
That wasn't clear. We were imagining that they would be killed or used in some way and eventually die. So that was what we were thinking. I had no idea that it went to the extent of, you know, forced labor and people being sold into slavery, you know, body parts, organs being taken and sold. Had no idea that was going on. I mean, the extent of the situation I had no idea about at the time 5 years ago.
And since they were released, right, have you spoken with anybody at the UN or the U.S. government or any country's government about not only what happened, but why it happened, and whether this is something that these governments can enforce and find those who kidnapped your family? But again, is that just unrealistic?
It's unrealistic. I mean, we're talking about the international criminal courts. They're the ones that have international jurisdiction to bring prosecution against those that are responsible in these various areas, or be referred by the UN Security Council. So it goes through this whole system that has absolutely nothing to do with the U.S. And so I know that a lot of people are frustrated because they want to help, as I am frustrated. And mind you, 5 years ago, I was a baby prosecutor at the time. So I absolutely had no understanding of all of this or how to go about this, or finding solutions. But people are frustrated. They don't know how they can help. And that is primarily the reason why no one's really talking about it. We're not even trending. This story isn't trending. The news outlets aren't talking about it. Well, we need to keep the conversation going, but we also need pressure on the Congressional Black Caucus. They've created an Africa task force that is built to address these issues. So we need to contact them. We need to contact Nikki Haley, who is the U.S. ambassador to the UN, and make sure that she stays on this, and that the UN and the EU and the AU and NATO and us, we all have dirty hands in this. I'm sorry, I gotta get this out. We played a role. We have to take responsibility. we've done to destabilize Libya in the beginning, and we need to do something and come with solutions at this point.
Fascinating story. That'll have to be the last word on it. Deeply appreciate you sharing. Keep up the fight. Keep up your great advocacy. Yodit Tewolde, fascinating story.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.